Hi guys, and welcome back to PPTV. It's me, Beth, your host, and my guest today is Stephen. Hi.
Hi Bethany, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you here today.
So excited to be here.
This has been a long time in the making, hasn't it?
It has.
So
I'm just very humbled to be invited to have a chat with you.
It's going to be really exciting, and it's a very interesting topic that I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of value from
Great
today.
Stuff.
So for those who might not know you, can you just give us a little bit of a background information?
Sure. So my name's Stephen. I'm the founder of CRM for Property Success. Now, I know what you're thinking. He looks about 12, but I'm actually 106. I've got to thank my mother for these wonderful Asian genes. And I think part of the benefit of that is, I know what you're also thinking, can he actually get a half-price child bus fare? And the answer is yes. But of course, some of those benefits means that if you do go into a pub, I often get asked for ID to have a pint of Coke.
Yeah.
But anyway, my background, so I used to run a global sales team in a software development company. And really it was during that time of scaling and growing that team that I discovered the power of CRM. Now, whilst this is all happening, I became a dad. And, being a dad, suddenly the commute of going in to and fro work, about a 3-hour trip, meant that I didn't really have much time, and sometimes I often missed bath time with my little one.
Yeah.
And that didn't really sit so well with me. So I decided, what can I do about the situation? I really wanted to have a reason to escape the rat race. Mm-hmm. And then during all of this time, I became an accidental landlord. And now I'm not sure, maybe some of the viewers that are watching, whether they're in a situation when their property investment actually makes more money than the day job.
Yeah.
So you just think, hold on a second, I'm missing something here. And so a little bit further down the line, we were thinking how we're going to manage the childcare of Thomas as he grows up. So that was the opportunity for me to make a career change.
Yeah.
And I decided I wanted to focus on property. So in 2016, I discovered this wonderful community, Progressive Property, and really that's where I am.
That's perfect. I think that's really nice. I think a lot of people can relate as well to having a family and the struggle of working like the 9 to 5, the rat race, and thinking there has to be more. There has to be a way to get more time. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. One of the things that we put out to the community before we got you on, obviously, was for them to start asking questions, because you do a lot in the community about CRMs and how it can help structure their business, bring in more leads, and things that people might consider boring.
Yep.
But it's not. It can be really in-depth, and once you've got it all set up, it can actually give you another income stream almost, which
Absolutely.
I think is really exciting. So we're going to go through a lot of those today.
Great.
Lots of value. I hope you've got your brain ready. And of course, anyone watching live, you can ask any extra questions that you might have for Stephen as well.
Great stuff.
So are you ready to get into it all?
Let's go for it.
Have you got your CRM hat on?
I'm going to put that on right now.
So let's start with the basic then of what is a CRM?
That's a great question. So I get this all the time. So what the heck is a CRM? It's normally what people ask me. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. Or maybe if you don't have any customers, you might think of it as Contact Relationship Management. Because actually all of the contacts that you meet, the people that you meet maybe at networking events, they could be potential customers. So they could be your next investor, your next JV partner, maybe your next power team member. Now, CRMs are great for putting all that information in one place. But it's really, what can you do with the CRM that is really important?
Yeah.
And so often people don't know what a CRM is. So if they don't know what they don't know, then they end up using the same tools as they're familiar with.
Yeah.
And this is where really CRM sort of come into their own. So often when people ask me, well, what can a CRM do? How can it really transform my property business or any business? Well, firstly, I can remember, if I could take everybody back to the first day that you go through the doors of Progressive.
Yeah.
And there's this chap called Rob Moore who says the most important thing, no matter what property strategy that you do, is to build out a big fat pipeline or a funnel of deals. And on this side, to build up a big fat a funnel of contacts, because actually that's what really makes the difference. So what does that actually mean? Have you seen what a funnel of contacts or a funnel of investors might actually look like for you? Now that's where the CRM can help you do that. It can help you attract great investors. It can help you find your deals a lot easier, but more importantly, it can help you do less because you let the system do all the heavy lifting.
Sounds great. It does. It sounds like a nice way to systemize everything. It's all organized, and in turn you do a lot less, like you said. So it sounds like a win-win.
There you go.
So the next question that we have then are, what are the benefits? Because obviously it's a term that a lot of people hear.
Sure.
They might not understand though, do they need it yet in their business? Like, what would the pros to them be? And obviously everyone's at different levels as well.
So that's a great question. So often when you're starting out, like I was, you might be bootstrapped and you use the things, whatever you need to get your business started. But as your business grows, and we all hope our business is going to be successful, what you started off at the very beginning of your journey to where you are now, it's going to look very, very different. But of course, sometimes it's easy to look back in hindsight to be able to think ahead because you don't know what you don't know. So with CRMs, one of the things that I might suggest to our viewers is, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? Are there repetitive activities that you do again and again? So it may be, if you're in property, you'll be analysing lots of deals. Yeah. And it's actually the same process, it's the same workflow you go through again and again. But the actual tools that you use, it may be an old-fashioned paper and pen, it may be the next step up using spreadsheets, but actually if you were to ask what would be the best tools for this to streamline that process, that's when really systems come into it. Yeah. So that might be a good example.
I think that's a good example though of like explaining, like when you go to view a deal perhaps, and like you, instead of starting from scratch every time the numbers come in and thinking, how can I work out this is going to work for me, just have that plug and play system almost.
Absolutely.
Where you just put everything in there and the system does it for you and there's your result.
Fantastic.
Which I think works quite well. Perfect. So do you have any advice then of how to use this networking wise?
Oh, brilliant. Fantastic question. So again, if I take customers back, or our viewers back to the time when you've been told you need to go networking. I can remember the day that I was told here at Progressive, you got to go networking. Yeah. But actually, what does that mean? Maybe they've said, you need to put yourself out there. Put yourself out where? Where do you put yourself? Maybe you go to a networking event. Yeah. And say, what are you supposed to say? How are those conversations supposed to flow? So what I did, and I'm not sure whether this is the same for you, is that you go into a room full of strangers. It feels a little bit awkward. Yes. Maybe you do a right sharp turn to the bar, have a stiff drink, and then what happens is a lot of stuff tumbles out of your mouth. I tend to call this the turn up and throw up syndrome. And because you're trying to remember all of the things that you've got to ask, and people are sharing stuff with you, but all you're sort of registering is la 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 stuff. And then you blurt out everything that you have. Yeah. Exactly. So then what typically happens is that you collect a bunch of cards, and then you go home. It's quite late. You're probably a little bit hungry now. Yeah. And then you're looking at your bunch of cards, and the bed is calling, and you think, which one should I do? Send emails? Or should I just go to bed? I'll do it in the morning. So most of us take the easy option. So go to bed and you wake up, and next morning you've forgotten everything. So that was me. And I thought, well, there's got to be a better way of doing this, because I'm really filling up my, I don't know why they call it a dusty shoebox. But I was putting all my cards into this dusty shoebox. So I went onto Google and I found this acronym called FORM. Okay. So FORM stands form is FORM, and the F stands for where are you from. Okay. The O stands for your occupation. Your R is for your reason for being here, and your M is your message, maybe your 30-second pitch. So by having a structure, you don't have to remember what to ask people. You just remember FORM. And so that way, when you use FORM, it's one less thing to remember. But also, you can use it in another way, because when they ask you about yourself, you just use the form structure.
Yeah.
So for me, for example, Stephen, hi, I'm Stephen. I'm from Chessington in Surrey, the home of the world of adventures. My occupation, I am a property investor, but I'm also the founder of a program called CRM for Property Success. My reason for being here is that I find that most people, when they go to networking events, they feel a little bit awkward. They don't know what to say, they don't know what to capture, and they struggle with a follow-up. Now, my message to you might be that if you're one of those people, it's okay, we figured it all out. So maybe you want to have a chat with me at the imaginary water cooler over there during the break, and if you're stuck, I can help you get unstuck. And that's an example of how I'd use form.
And that works really well, especially at a networking event where there are going to be people who are like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I talk to anyone? I'm just going to hide in the corner instead.
Absolutely.
So I think for someone to go into an event like that and be like, I'm here to help you, I've got it all figured out, would be perfect. And I think the form is actually a really nice way of, like you said, not only structuring your questions to someone else, but structuring your response as well.
Great.
I think that was a perfect example of how to actually use it in a real life scenario.
Well, I hope maybe what I'm sharing here people can actually use, and of course they can always get in contact with me. We can do some practicing.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So the next one then, it was what do you do after a networking event? So you've gone to a networking event, you've used the form system, both for yourself and others. You've got all these business cards. Then what?
Well, one of the things that actually I find that when you go to the networking event and you've asked these questions, there's actually like a piece before that whereby you've now shared with me your FRM. Mm-hmm. But of course, you're using this thing here to remember it all.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about you, but as I'm getting older, this is beginning to fail. But it's also a lot of mental energy.
Yeah.
So typically when the person's shared that with you, by the time you move on to the next person, because although you've asked them the right questions, you've kind of forgotten what they've said. Mm-hmm. So the half step in between is that you need, and this is going to be really useful, a very, very special tool. Okay. And it's called the Sharpie Ultrafine Pen. Now, why this is so special is because have you noticed when they give you these wonderful business cards, they have this glossy feeling at the back?
Yeah.
Now, if you try to write on that using either a Bic or a pencil, no matter how hard you try and write, it doesn't write on it.
Okay.
This bad boy will write on absolutely anything. Now, someone's actually challenged me. They gave me a metallic card. Still writes on the metallic card. Now, by using this and the FRM, you can put it all on the back of your card.
Okay.
So now you've removed the need of using this thing. So now you've got your cards, so you've got a bunch of those, and you've gone home. So now that we're at after the event, now you need to get the information that's on the card into your system. Now the system could be, for example, a CRM. And what would be really cool is if the CRM was connected to a built-in card scanner and you could get your CRM on your phone.
Yeah.
What you can then do is just scan the cards and they automatically appear on your phone. You don't have to do anything. There's no transcribing. You don't have to do the copy and paste, maybe put it onto a spreadsheet. So that's another step. Mm-hmm. So the next piece might be is once you then get back home and you've got it all in one place, you'll probably start to use the outbound reach, and that comes onto the email piece. Mm-hmm.
Okay then, so I love the Sharpie method, by the way.
Thank you.
Everyone's going to be turning up at networking events now, armed with Sharpie. So you've got all this system then in place, you've got all these business cards, names, all the form details, all in one place. How do you follow that up with someone then?
So you might be at the moment, if you're using Excel spreadsheet, doing a lot of the copy and pasting. So first of all, it's really laborious. It's stuff you really don't want to do.
Yeah.
So you could use a VA, you could do it yourself, but actually if you had a system such as a CRM, what's really cool about that is you can use an email template. Okay. So I'm not sure sometimes when you receive an email, it's an obvious email template because it either someone's forgotten to put the personal details in, so you get hi, comma. Yeah. And I'm not sure if you receive one of those, normally the default reaction is delete. So, and that point's really important to get across because you really want to personalize your emails. Mm-hmm. How can you do that? Well, let's go back to the details you've captured on the card. So imagine if your personalized email might look something like this. So, hi, Bethany, your first name, which the system can pull out. great to meet you at the PPN event in Peterborough, which the system again can pull out.
Yeah.
And then the information that you've captured on your card, you can create a personalised statement. So it was great to meet you at the Peterborough PPN. It's great to understand what you're doing on essay. If I'm down at that neck of the woods next time, let's meet up, maybe let's have a coffee, maybe some generic blurb about you. And then here's the really cool part. If you have, say, for example, a Calendly link. Now, Calendly is a piece of software that links into your calendar. And what that means is it looks at your calendar and it knows when you have free time. Because there's nothing worse than if someone actually sends you an email and you've got a few here and a few there, and you've just got lots of meetings scattered throughout the week. By having a Calendly link, and you maybe designate one day to chunk out for all of those calls, then it means that you get back-to-back calls. So it means that for the whole day, you can just focus on solving problems or engaging and understanding what it is that person wants. So that might be something you could use it for.
Yeah, I like that as well, because then you're in the mind space already. You're not fitting in a call here and there where you might be already full on in a different project and your mind's not in like the right mood to talk to someone and explain about how you can help them, bits like that. So I think that's a good tip as well.
Exactly. I think sometimes when you have that call and it's in the middle of your day, first of all, it breaks up your day.
Yeah.
And secondly, I've known several situations when I'm running back up from lunchtime to get in front of the call. So by having it all structured out, you know, you've got a call, you've got a half an hour space and another call, and it's back to back.
I like with the email template as well, how it comes back to what you've written down on that card is like key things that don't take a lot of time to get that information. Like you're being given that information already, but it just makes something seem so much more personal. So when you mentioned like, oh, I know you do essays in this area, like that, if I received an email like that, I'd be like, oh, okay, they actually remembered me and what I do. So
Absolutely. And actually, maybe we use a pop quiz question.
Yeah.
So pop quiz, someone asked me this question. So often, if you're in an environment or you're going networking, you might have either 20 minutes with 4 people or 4 people with 20 minutes. But if you think about that, normally if you're in that noisy room, what happens is you say a lot of stuff, blah, 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 blah. They say a lot of stuff, blah, 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 and then you have to go in for the actual content of the show. Then there's a few comfort breaks, and then there's the after the presentation part when you go home.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there could have been 100 people in the room, the right people you want to engage with, but you just ran out of time. By using this method, if you've got the systems, now there's no right way or wrong way of doing it, but it means that you can cover the room a lot easier. And now the qualification, you've taken it from the room into the part where you're engaging one-to-one because they've decided they want to have a discovery call with you. So therefore, the discovery doesn't happen in the room. You're collecting the cards to capture the details, to make the engagement, the outbound reach, I think, more useful for you. As you said, you're a reminder. And then when you're actually having that call, you're focusing on them. As you said, oh, you remembered about essay, you remembered about...
oh, wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good tip. And I think a lot of people, when they go networking, that's something that they can really take away and implement, because it seems quite a simple thing that you can start implementing just to be a bit more personal and a bit more memorable, I guess, as well, and your follow-up.
It's amazing how people say to you, wow, it's amazing that you remembered all of that, and said, yep, thanks to the system.
Just like patting your pocket with the Sharpie in, like, yes. Okay, so the next one then was, how do you avoid spending all your time meeting people for coffee?
Okay, that's a great question. So in the past, I used to do a lot of driving to meet people. You've got to park up, you've got to travel in, and then you sat down, you bought your mocha chocolatinos, sprinkles on top, £6 of coffee, because you're a gentleman, you're going to do the same for the guest, and only to find out after you sat down, 15 minutes in the conversation, that there is actually no good fit. And then, of course, you have to travel all the way back home again. So by using the structure that we said about using discovery calls, now we use a lot of video calling for our discovery calls. And that's what we feel it's the next best thing to having a real life chat. It also means that if you're in Peterborough and I'm on the other side of Chessington, to drive all the way over there just for half an hour where I don't know whether we're a good fit, I can basically filter or qualify you in or out early. Now, it doesn't matter if at the time we actually engaged, we may not be a good fit, because you're already in the system. And therefore, you might say, well, right now, where I am in my property journey is here. It would be great to circle back with you, say, 3-6 months down the line. And he said, that's fine. It's not a problem. I hope I gave you some value, helped you get unstuck, shared some insights. And then you can schedule a reminder in your CRM to circle back with Bethany and to catch up and see how she's progressed in her journey. And of course, all the things that you captured in the discovery call, it's in your CRM. So for us, the CRM is our one version of the truth. Instead of scrambling around looking for at emails nested between emails, and then stuff on Excel spreadsheets, you go to your CRM because everything's in your CRM, a full audit history of all the interactions. Yeah.
I think that's a really key example there as well. It's like, just because someone's not a good fit at that moment in time, don't discard them, because you never know down the line when that person might be able to work with you, or you might be able to work with them.
Absolutely, and it's not always about you. If you take the perspective of actually helping people, I think we're all specialists in our own way. It may be that I'm a CRM, I'm a system specialist, and you are a social media specialist. And at the time that the person engages with you, if you think back of where you met them at a networking event amongst 100 people, the timing may not be right. But the fact is, you basically took the effort to capture those details. You reached out to them, so they didn't have to do anything. And that when the time is right for them to re-engage with you, you've got all the audit history. Yeah. You just jump back to where you left off.
And I like also is how your CRM, instead of you manually having to remember to contact this person and reach out, it notifies you notifies you going, oh, just touch base with this person, which again is a great system because it can be difficult to keep track of all of those leads, all of those contact details, and when and where you met them.
So, I often say that when you scale business, here are where the big boys are, and we all aspire to get to that level. But when you're starting out, how are you going to level the playing field? You can typically scale by outsourcing or maybe increasing the headcount in your team. And the other side is systems. So in this example that you've mentioned is, why don't you let the system do all the heavy lifting? Just give your brain a break. Let it do more for you to give you time to actually focus on the things that really matter, as opposed to all the low admin stuff. But you can't let it go. You've got to juggle all of that, but let the system do the remembering for you. Let the system remind you what it is that you need to do.
Brilliant. So the next question then, what are the benefits of using CRM for deal sourcing?
Okay, another great question. So deal sources, by their very nature, they have a high volume of deals that they've got to analyse. Now, when you're starting off, it may be that you'll gravitate to what you know around spreadsheets. So I'm not sure if there's any deal sources here joining us on the session, but if you capture everything onto spreadsheets, you've got spreadsheets and documents saved in folders among folders.
Yes.
And then typically, all of those deals, where you don't know where you are, they're just headlines, they're just file names. And then of course, you may be doing all the analysis in your on your Excel spreadsheets, but you do reach out and you connect with people. Maybe it's the estate agent, maybe it's your mortgage broker.
Yeah.
So now all of those conversations you're having, they're all being held on your email. Now, I'm not sure whether you've tried to pull together all of the conversations, all of the documents, and all of the analysis that you've made. It's an absolute nightmare. And that is just that's just one deal. But of course, you're not likely to just be managing one deal. Maybe you're managing 10 deals at the moment. And now here's a challenge I'd like to maybe put out to the group.
Go ahead.
If you are managing your deals in that way and you're using spreadsheets, there's nothing wrong with that at all. If within your deal flow process, there's 5 stages. So stage 1 is your initial analysis. Then you might do some due diligence, you might do a viewing, you need to make an offer, and then you secure the offer. Those are the 5 stages, for example. Of the 10 deals that you're actually juggling, are they at stage 1? Are they at stage 4? Are they at stage 3? Do you have an easy way to focus and see at a glance where their deals actually sit? And of course, the deals might have different value. So if you've got several deals which are worth, say, £5,000 in stage 1, but you've got one deal that's worth 500,000 in stage 4, it might make sense that you want to focus on that one first to get it across the finish line. So that brings back to what we said at the very beginning about Rob suggesting you need to build out that big fat pipeline of deals, but actually to visualize that deal, what does it look like and how can you make it easy for yourself? And again, that's where CRMs and workflow and pipeline can really make a difference.
I guess as well, it's always easier to get the system set up in place beforehand rather than trying to move everything over. But obviously once it's all over, it's streamlined, you can see everything, but it's better to do it sooner rather than later with CRMs.
Absolutely. And I think that leads into another really important point. Often when you're starting your business, you're working really hard in the business rather than on the business.
Yeah.
So now you do a lot of stuff, a lot of hard work goes into it, but of course you hadn't at the offset thought about helping yourself retire from the business so that the business can function without you. So there's nothing wrong in using those tools to get started with, but if your vision might be, I want to be able to make sure that the system can operate without me. At that early stage for our business, we knew that in order to be able to scale, to basically level the playing field with the other big players, we needed to outsource to get the stuff off our plates, that maybe using a VA, and we needed to have systems to be able to help us do more in less time. And by doing it that way and having a clear idea of a system that is fully systemized, I mean, progressive property, that's an excellent example, and then the ability then to free up all of your time. So if you're doing 40 hours in your business right now, because your systems or your business means that you have to be in the business, and where you want to get to is to be removed from the business, to be retired from the business, then by creating it this way, you've got your 40 hours back to focus on your next business, the next multiple stream of income, for example.
I guess it's having that long-term vision, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And doing the steps at the early stages to ensure that you're on track to reach it.
Yeah.
Instead of, like you said, being so involved in the business that you can't actually then take yourself out.
Sure.
So a lot of people go into property because they want to create more time.
Yeah.
But if you're spending, like you said, 40 hours in the business, you're not creating yourself more time.
And you know what? That's a great question. That's a great question, actually, and it just reminds me. So I'll link this back to Kitty, my wife. So here I am. I've just gone through property school. I'm very, very excited, and then what I've realised is that I'm doing a load of stuff, and I'm actually doing a lot more stuff now in my business than I was in the job that I left. I just swapped one job for another.
Yeah.
And of course, this is sometimes when you have your aha moment where, your wife says to you, aren't you a systems person? Didn't you use systems? Can't you just leverage or take some of the system knowledge that you had before that you hadn't thought about and apply that in your property business? The aha moment. And it's like, yeah, honey. So I married very, very well.
I love that she pointed that out to you. Like, this is what you specialise in. And she's like, you don't want to use that? No?
Tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So I think that leads on to maybe a question where people say, when should you get started with a CRM? They often use the wise old Chinese man who about planting trees. When's the best time to plant a tree? It's 25 years ago. Yeah. And the next best time is right now. Well, maybe to look at it in a slightly different way. So imagine at the moment you're at a stage where you want to focus on the business, you want to obviously do well in your business, and we hope you're going to be successful in your business. But of course, the more successful you become, the more activities you're going to generate, and you're not even there yet. And already wherever you may be on your property journey, the systems that you've already got in place, they're already creaking. Yeah. So that tells you that the more successful you become, you're just storing a bigger problem. So really, what you were saying is, when should you do that? Well, it really should be right now. And but of course, you've got to decide when is the right time for you, because every business is going to be different. Yeah,
I do think though, the longer you leave it, it's one of those things that is just going to grow and grow and become more and more complicated to then try and correct down the line.
Absolutely.
So for anyone who perhaps is watching as well, what are perhaps some of the CRM recommendations then? Because obviously, again, like we mentioned, people are at all different stages of their
Sure.
property business, the amount of staff they have, perhaps the amount of deals coming in. What are perhaps some of your recommendations?
So, first of all, there are lots of CRMs that are out there. Actually, there's a buck a penny. They could be called, well, let's just name some of them. So there's Pipeline, there's Less Annoying, there's HubSpot, there's Salesforce, there's Infusionsoft, there's Confusionsoft. It's called ABC, it's called XYZ.
Yeah.
The first thing to realise is that it doesn't matter which CRM that you use. When you press the download button, the CRM that you download and the CRM that you may need requires configuration. So often, I remember somebody coming to me and they shared this problem. They said, Stephen, this is my journey so far with CRMs. I basically choose one because I've asked the community and they give me a name of a CRM. I download it. And normally when I download it, they give me a 14-day trial. By the time I figured it out how to do what I need to do or to learn how to do the CRM, 7 days has gone.
Yeah.
Then you've got to do some stuff. And by the time that you can just about to get started, the trial finishes. So guess what? I rinse and repeat and do it all over again.
Oh gosh.
Which really, and I was saying, so I'm thinking, if you downloaded maybe another 50 more, do you think you may get the magical CRM that's going to do what you want? So unfortunately, all CRMs all require configuration. Now, also, it depends what you want the CRM to do. And that's a very difficult question because sometimes you don't know what you don't know, which is why I shared earlier on is, what do you do most frequently in your business today? Now, often people are living in their emails. So here's a suggestion or here's a benefit of what a CRM can actually do. So say I sent you an email, and those emails come back and forth. Now, without a CRM, I send you the email, you give me a reply, I send you an email, and now the email lives on an email thread in my email client. But if you had a CRM, when I send it to you, I include a little link. And because you're in my CRM now, every time I send you that email correspondence that comes back and forth, the CRM is smart enough to know to attach those emails into the system.
Okay.
So it means that I don't have to do anything. I don't have to be searching through my email threads because always you're looking for it. I'm not sure if you do it on your phone.
Yes.
It's never there. I can't find it.
You're going through your spam, your inbox, your folders.
You know the feeling.
Yeah.
So that's where a CRM again comes back to your one version of truth, where you go to. We talked about card scanners. So maybe the CRM that you're considering, maybe the CRM that the names that have been shared with you, does it have a card scanner? If it doesn't, well, guess what? You're either going to need a VA, do it yourself, which of course no one really wants to do, or you have to find another piece of software to hook that up. And then we talk about the pipelines. How easy is it for you to create pipelines? And when you're creating pipelines or you're doing stuff on your CRM, are you doing it typically on your desktop? But of course, we're not chained to our desks. I mean, most of us who are in property, we have sort of mobile businesses. So you're going to be at home for one time, you're going to be maybe out on site somewhere else, maybe you're meeting investors, and you need to pull all that information together. Now, wouldn't it be really cool if the CRM that you had a desktop version that just worked seamlessly on your tablet and then also on your phone, which now means that, yes, you put all of the details into your CRM on your desktop, but when you meet that person again, what was their name? You pull it out. Oh, what was the coffee they like? Oh, it's the mocha choccacino with the sprinkles on top. Because it's really in the moment when you really need that information, can you get at it? Rather than maybe sifting, I mean, could you imagine all those people you're holding in your Excel spreadsheet and it's like, got to pull the spreadsheet out, it's that big, it's that deep, I can't find them. So again, it really depends what you want on your CRM. So.
I think that's a perfect little snippet there. I think CRMs, people sometimes can feel overwhelmed by them.
Sure.
But actually it's something that is there to help you. And as long as you get started and figure it out as you go and see what your business needs, it's going to do wonders for you.
Absolutely. And I think also, it's not every day you're going to buy a CRM. I mean, let's be honest. And often, when people ask the question, what CRM should I use? We did a little bit of research, and over the last 18 months, across 148 groups that we monitor at the moment, that question has come up 87 times. What's the best CRM? What's the free CRM? What's the best CRM for property? What CRM do you use? But actually, when you ask that question, it's a bit like, what's the best car you would recommend? And you know, you
it's
get
so vague, isn't it? It's like, what's the best street to buy a house on?
Is it a Ford? Is it a Rolls Royce? Is it a Tesla?
Yeah.
So it may be that you buy the Rolls Royce because you want comfort, Tesla because you're environmentally responsible, a Porsche or a Lamborghini because you want to go from A to B really quickly. Everybody's going to have a different reason for using a particular piece of software. But if you go back to where you are right now, and what we call is the low-hanging fruit. Maybe all your contacts are scattered everywhere. There's a little bit on your computer here, there's a little bit on your phone, and let's not forget these little sneaky fellas. They're everywhere. And would it be useful to be able to pull all of that together? And if that was all together, would that really help you in your business? Secondly, you know, searching through those emails, let's make that a thing of the past. And then those deals, rather than trying to sift through all of those spreadsheets, to pull them together. And you know, most people have amazing spreadsheets. They've got spreadsheets nested amongst spreadsheets that are linked together with another spreadsheet. Well, the great thing about a spreadsheet is it's fantastic for analysing, but it is not so good to try and pull and stretch it, to try and make it do what a CRM does.
Yeah.
Use the CRM to do what it does best, use the spreadsheet to do what it does best, but it has a home within the CRM. But sometimes, you know, you don't know what you don't know, so that might be useful.
No, I think that is, and I think everything that you've covered this morning is really useful for everyone tuning in, because it is such a vast topic. And like we said, the term CRM, we hear it quite a lot, but maybe a lot of people don't actually know what that means and what that means for them on their business level. So I think that everything you've covered this morning has been really interesting. I've learnt a lot, definitely, because it is one of those things. I am one of those people who have all the spreadsheets, everything's in my emails, trying to find all the details. Like ourselves, when we were speaking before about getting all your details to get you on the show and bits, I was there through my emails typing your name in to see the chains that would come up, and I was like, I'm sure it's here somewhere. So I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to, and I think a lot of people would get a lot of value from. I know we're going to put your details on our YouTube version in the description, so if people want more details, they can reach out, they can ask you questions, and you're also offering free discovery calls as well.
That's correct. So actually, it reminds me of, I did ask the group, the community, whether they'd like to pose me a burning CRM question, and there was one member of the group, Mark Taylor. Hi Mark. Yeah. I said I would try and get this on live for you, and Mark had asked me about the differences in the CRMs. Again, you know, Mark, come over, let's sit down and have a chat. I'm sure we could spend quite a few hours chatting through what you need. But maybe the question people often ask is, there's free and there's paid for. So maybe, you know, if I focus on this part and just share some knowledge around here. They often say there's no such thing as a free lunch. If you look at any CRM, any licenses, it tends to be tiered. There's the free, then there's the entry, and then there's the pro, and it goes up with more functionality. So when you're starting off and you're bootstrapped and you can't afford those tools, then you gravitate and use whatever it is that's going to get you started. But if you focus on free, and free being the bit that is most valuable to you in your business, we'll actually think about what you're going to be using the CRM for. Now, in our business, CRM is the heart of our business. It basically connects all of your contacts, all of your customers, all your relationships. Now, you're choosing now, of all the things that you're doing, the heart of your business, you're going to use a free version. Does that make a lot of sense? No. The second piece is, typically it's free because they've ripped out a lot of the functionality that you need. Yeah. So now what you're doing is you're spending a lot of time building out all your workflow processes on a free version, where the functionality that you need that's going to help your business is actually in the paid version. So what you might want to do is think about where you are right now, where do you want to be, and think about how long it's going to take you to get there. Is it just you and the business at the moment? Are you a micro business? Is it just you and a business partner? Do you have a VA? Is there a team that you need to collaborate with? And if you look at all of the key functionality that you'll require, have a look at the lowest paid license for your chosen CRM, and look at, does it help you do all of the stuff that you do on a day-to-day basis? And ideally, by using the lowest paid license to see as you scale, whether it scales with you. So as your business grows, you might need more functionality. And that might be a really good place to start. So hopefully that was really useful. Mark, I answered your question.
I think so. I think that, again, it's a good point to raise, and you have to sometimes invest money into something to get that longer term benefit, because if it is free, it might cause you more work, more pain, all of that jazz down the line.
For sure.
Whereas if you just invest at the start, it's like investing in your education, like the long term benefits long outweigh that small term cost at the start.
Yeah.
So I do think that's really important. And guys, if you do have any more questions for Stephen as well, do put them in the comments, because I'm sure he'd love to answer more and give more value to you all. But that's it from us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you for coming in. Like I said, I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone watching has as well. And I'm sure you're going to get bombarded with more questions.
Well, to be fair, I mean, CRM is not the most exciting subject. But I hope CRM can be sexy. But it's actually less to do with the CRM, but really, what can it do to transform your business? And I hope I kind of demystified some of the things around CRM and how it can help you.
Definitely. No, I think you've definitely done that. So guys, that's it from us today. But thank you for tuning in, and make sure you pop any comments in the comment box below, and we'll get Stephen to respond when he can. And we will see you all on the next one. So that's it from us then, guys. Bye.
See you later. So I hope you had a great time today. Don't forget to click the notification bell and the subscribe button.